Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for part 4 of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion webinar series. This 8-part webinar series will feature 2 tracks. Sessions on the Tuesday track are aimed at building diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in your workplace and in the community. And sessions on the Thursday track are focused on highlighting diverse-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. This webinar series is presented by the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council and sponsored by PNC Bank. Before I introduce our presenting sponsor, I wanted to go over a few housekeeping items. All attendees will be on listen-only mode. And to be respectful of everyone's time, we've allotted time at the end for Q&A. Feel free to ask any questions at any time during the presentation by submitting them in the Q&A section or the chat box. This event is being live streamed on Facebook. For anyone watching on Facebook, please enter your questions in the comment section and we will ask on your behalf. A recording of the session will be available on our Facebook and YouTube pages by the end of the week and will be linked on the main event page for the webinar series. Now to get us started, I wanted to thank our sponsor, PNC Bank, for again sponsoring our DEI webinar series. We have a video from PNC to show, and then we'll hear some remarks from Andy, who introduces today's speaker. And Rashida, if you could just play that PNC video for us.
On behalf of everyone at PNC, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar. At PNC, we embrace and promote diversity and inclusion as a core element of our values and culture. We recognize that it is bigger than any single person or group, and when coupled with collaborative teams and inclusive leaders, it has far-reaching impact. Taking the time to join us today indicates that you are interested in learning more about the roles and responsibilities necessary to create more opportunities for positive understanding and change. Thank you for showing up to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion today. Thank you also to the Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber for creating this series and to the phenomenal presenters for sharing their time and expertise to help foster a more inclusive culture in our community. Today's presenter is the owner of New Wave Enterprise, a founding member of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Scranton and Director of Operations of the Northeastern Pennsylvania Pan-African Coalition. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Rashida Lovely.
Hello. Hello, my name is Rashida Lovely, and I am the owner of New Wave Enterprise, and I have a facility called New Wave Studios that's located in the west side of Scranton. Today I wanted to discuss foundations for peoples of color. So just a little bit about myself. I'm a wife and a mother of 3 young men. I'm a biologist and an artist. I own a New Wave Studios, New Wave Enterprise, which is a publishing and arts company. I have a facility called New Wave Studios. It's an arts, science, and community space that's located in Scranton. I am a founding member of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Scranton, Pennsylvania, and I'm also the Director of Operations for the sister organization, social organization, NEPA Pan-African Coalition. So a little bit more about myself. I am an avid artist. I teach traditional art as well as dance, and I focus on children of color and also marginalized groups and families. So my students are very diverse and come from very diverse backgrounds. So as I've been teaching since roughly 2015 here in Scranton, I noticed that many of the children that I work with had issues as far as the academics were concerned. Some of them had trouble reading and writing. And so what we did to kind of combat some of those issues was that we created a after-school program where we focused on tutoring before dance sessions. So this went on for a couple of years, and then we decided to create a STEM program. It's because during the summer months, many of these children who came to dance did not have any programs, quality programs, or academic programs that they could participate in during the summer months. And so we decided to create this program specifically to meet the needs of those children in the area. So just a snapshot of some basic statistics. The median household income for the total population in Northeast PA is roughly $50,000. The median household income for African Americans in the same area is $32,000. There's obviously a significant difference. And if we just stay with the city of Scranton, the median household income is anywhere between $23,000 and $26,000 per year. So many of the families that we focus on really don't have the financial means to participate in a lot of the enrichment programs that are offered in the area. So our goal was to not just focus on those specific children who don't have the same opportunities as others, but also try to incorporate the families, as enrichment isn't just for the children, it is also for their respective families. So one of the goals that we felt was very important was to bring opportunity and choice to these families who struggle financially. So the first step was to create the Black Chamber of Commerce in Scranton. So many of our businesses struggle with being able to get traditional lending, to find retail space, and suffer from other issues as well, as far as a startup capital and things of that nature. So we felt that by creating the chamber, we could address those needs that are specific to our business community. So with that being said, we decided that buying land would be one of the first initiatives that we would take into consideration. And we felt that by buying land, we could bypass some of the hurdles that African American businesses face in the area. We also decided that we wanted to make sure that we had affordable retail space for our members. We wanted to make sure that retail spaces were equitable and also have a hyper focus on keeping a small carbon footprint. The environment is very important to us, and we only get one Earth. So we want to make sure that when we create our new reality, that it takes the environment greatly into consideration. We also feel that it is vitally important to have our own banking and credit institutions. So that is something that is also very important and vital to our business construct. And we also need to make sure that we have educational opportunity. So land. Land is vitally important to the success of a community and the success of businesses. We want to develop schools, banks, homes, and businesses for the African American community. And so, as I said previously, some of the hurdles that faced by this group is having issues with traditional lending, having good credit, startup capital, all the things that you need to be successful. So as a chamber, it made sense to us to focus on purchasing land so that we could create the types of institutions that we know is needed in order to guarantee success for our community. So one of the things that we really wanted to focus on was, as we're building up this new reality for ourselves, as we create these commercial projects, we wanted to make sure that we kept a really small footprint. And there's all these exciting projects that are happening across the country using shipping containers. So we thought shipping containers made a lot of sense for what we're trying to do. They are cost effective, they're flexible, and they also kind of constrain you as far as your actual footprint. So we thought maybe we can look into this as some immediate options for us. Design. So sometimes when you purchase land, you're kind of restricted in what you can build. And we felt that if we used the shipping container model, we had way more flexibility than we would in other situations. Also, scale. We expect to grow and add on more businesses. So we feel that having this type of model will allow the flexibility that we need, and it would help us to realize our overall goals. Entrepreneurial hubs. There are hubs across NEPA, but we felt it was very important to create hubs that focused on the African American community. There are specific needs that we have to take into consideration. There are many injustices and inequities that take place in the business world, and having a hub that focuses on our issues will allow us to have a safe space to both have discussions about how we want to run our businesses, but also what direction we would like to take our businesses in. So our focus in our entrepreneurial hubs are training, accreditation, and mentorship. Many people that we have who are going to lead our entrepreneurial hubs have been in business for a decade or longer. They are very well known in the community and have successful businesses. And so the successes of these businesses is what we want to share with our new business owners who are coming into the field. And we want to make sure that we help them succeed in every possible way. So in our hubs, we offer training in their specific business type. We help them receive their accreditation if they do not have it. And we also guide them through the process of learning customer service, products and marketing. And we keep them in the hub for a minimum of 6 months. And once we feel that they're at the point where they can maintain their business on their own, we place them in dedicated spaces so they can further grow their business. After their time in the program, the idea is that they will be able to survive on their own and get past that 5-year mark that many new businesses you have to contend with. We know that businesses fail. The rate of failure goes up as you get closer to the 5-year mark. So if we can get them over that hump, the goal is to make sure that they continue on and they're able to survive on their own. And if they need further assistance, the Entrepreneurial Hub is available for them to come back and refine their skills and to gain more resources. We only get one Earth. And zero waste is an initiative that we were extremely on board with. So as part of our entrepreneurial programs, we are focused, hyper-focused on making sure that we implement ways and procedures that help make it easier to get to zero waste. So how do we get there? one of the things that we really focus on is how do we remove plastic from the process. Many of our business owners look to go into the restaurant industries, and we know that they're notorious for having a lot of plastic. So we are trying to replace the idea of using plastic by bringing in materials that we know are better for the environment, such as brown paper bags. Also, in the marketing portion, we are trying to move our entrepreneurs to thinking about something that's more sustainable, such as using stamps to market and use on these paper products because they're biodegradable and it doesn't require an excess of materials. When you are focusing on branding, a lot of times you require a lot more materials. We are trying to get away from this mindset. And so using things that are renewable, things that are not being thrown away is the best way to fight against a lot of the waste that's happening. Also, touchless payment systems. Our entrepreneurial hubs will all have touchless payment systems, and we will train our entrepreneurial folks how to use the touchless payment system so that they can avoid using more paper, which is not necessary, considering when you use the touchless payment system, you get receipts in an email. So it helps us to keep the amount of trash down that we typically make in a day when we go to a business. And lastly, one of the things that we really want to focus on is at some point there will be trash and we want to find ways of reusing it. So for many of our business owners who are starting restaurants, we are focusing on teaching them how to compost. So our facilities have composting procedures that are in place, and we will train them on how to compost the materials that would be sent to the trash. We understand that we cannot get to zero immediately, but the goal is to try and implement these steps so that we can get as close as possible to zero waste. So now to discuss the children. One of the most important things that we needed to focus on was having our children in enrichment programs that would show them something different than what they would get in either the public school system or at home. So just a moment ago, we discussed the importance of having zero waste. This is also something that we are discussing in classrooms with our children. We want them to grow up understanding that the environment is important, and therefore we want to implement those same procedures in our classrooms so that as they grow up, it will be ingrained in them to understand the importance of not creating a lot of trash and to take care of their environment. So as our STEAM program has been in place, it started roughly 2016. And because of 2020 and the pandemic, we were not able to hold our classes, but we will be holding them this year, starting at the end of June when the kids are out of school. So the program STEAM, it stands for science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. Every summer after the school lets out, our kids come back from dance classes and art classes, and they begin their science programs. We offer many different types of courses for our kids. We offer computer engineering courses, civil engineering courses, mathematics. Of course, we also have art because art is very important and it helps to round out the program. Our teachers are volunteers. They are not accredited by any school system, but they work in industry. Many of our volunteer teachers either come from an NSA background, NASA, or the Pentagon. 90% of our teachers are engineers, 5% of our teachers come from academia, and the other 5% have no formal training. It's 50-50 women and men, and all of our teachers are teachers of color. Education of children, and specifically children of color, can be very complex because of their social economic standings. Many times the children come from single parent homes and have a myriad of other issues. We believe that having school choice is of the utmost importance to many of our families. So our goal is to expand our summer program to an after-school program. And the ultimate goal is to eventually open a private school. The private schools will be specifically targeted to marginalized peoples and specifically peoples of color. We feel that children of color need to have more representation than they do in their classrooms. And in NEPA, unfortunately, there is not much representation for them. And we feel that it is vitally important that a child see themselves in positions of authority. It helps build their self-esteem, and it helps them to believe that they can become whatever they choose to become if they have something that reflects them in front of them. Home ownership. Home ownership is vitally important when it comes to generational wealth. And unfortunately, there is a long history of inequality in lending practices across the United States. So one of the larger goals that we have is to become lenders of choice. The goal is to offer lease-to-own programs and some micro-lending solutions in lieu of being able to secure lending through the traditional fashions. How we intend on achieving this goal is by purchasing properties that need rehabbing the properties, and then offering them to members of our community and members of our organization as a way of securing a home if they are unable to do it through traditional means. Many of the people who will be in the home ownership program will have to go through a training program before they will be considered for purchasing a property. The idea is that we want these people to be able to maintain their homes and also consider the standards of the communities in which they live. So basic maintenance of the home, making sure that the taxes are paid in a timely fashion, and making sure all other types of maintenance that you would need for a home is kept up. And many times families have no wherewithal or any understanding of how to do this. So having a program available to them where they can be taught and they could have hands-on experience on how to maintain their properties and what they need to look forward to is vitally important in guaranteeing that many of the families who do enter the program and purchase a home can maintain their home for a very long time. So our milestones. September of 2020 is when we formed the Black Chamber of Commerce and our sister organization, the NEPA Pan-African Coalition. We will be launching our Entrepreneurial Hub this May, the first week of May. We are limiting our space to 3 businesses at a time so that we can fully focus on fleshing out their business plans, focusing on their marketing and securing products if necessary, and any accreditations and certifications they may need to successfully run their businesses. In August of 2021, we plan to purchase our first piece of land to create the strip mall for our not long-term businesses, but our medium length businesses. So if they were in business maybe a year or two or up to 5 years, these are the businesses that would go into the strip mall. Other businesses that have been in place for 10 or more years, we have no intentions on disturbing their business or trying to add to it, as we don't feel right now is the climate for additional spaces for those businesses. So basically our goal is to have a space for some of our startups and medium size and businesses that haven't been in business more than just a couple of years. In February 2022, we hope to have our facility built if we go with the model of using shipping containers. We have not written this in stone, as we are unsure if we will be able to secure the proper documentation in order to bring this to life. But in any instance, if we are not, we do have some other options available, and we will definitely look into those come January just to make sure everything is in place. But this is basically what our time frame has looked like. So if you notice, we literally began in September of 2020. We've already established a facility where we are expanding our teaching program. Our Entrepreneurial Hub is beginning by next month, and we plan on creating at least 4 more facilities in which we have Entrepreneurial Hubs, and hopefully we'll be able to grow a bit more than that and expand all the way throughout the whole NEPA region. So just some other basic information that I would like to share with everyone. The climate that we have been experiencing in the last few years has basically shed a light on what was happening for many, many years before the invent of cell phones and social media. There has been a struggle with trying to create businesses that are long lasting. With African Americans, the difficulties has been in the banking industry, securing loans for any type of business or for home ownership has been a real stumbling block for many. Education has also been an issue that has been very difficult to surmount. And I firmly believe one of the issues that is really, really important and that we as a community have to focus on is having more representation. And if that cannot be accomplished through the public school system, we must create schools that will focus on the needs of our children. And one specific area in which we need to focus is the history of African Americans. Unfortunately, there is not enough of it in the public school system. And I think that that's one of the many things that hinders the children as they grow up and not believing that they can achieve many things. And so they don't look to go into business for themselves because they don't see examples of where they were able to be successful. So by tackling the education problem, by creating entrepreneurial hubs to help new businesses and businesses that are struggling find their footing, these are the best ways that we can move a little bit faster in getting more successful African American businesses out into the general community. And as we all know, if you lift these lowest of people, you lift all boats. So if African Americans make up the largest population of peoples who are impoverished, by allowing them to have the opportunity to create their own businesses and educate themselves, it will raise the income levels of these peoples. It will also raise the standings of the communities in which they live. And the focus needs to be on how we can work together to create this new reality for everyone who lives in the community. So I'd like to thank everybody for their time, and that is my presentation.
So much, Rashida. That was truly amazing. I do just have a few questions for you as we start the Q&A session of this presentation. So who are some of the partners of the Black Chamber of Commerce?
So just bear with me one second, sorry.
Sure.
So the founding members, one is myself, another gentleman named Demario Johnson. He has a few apparel stores. Janella Anderson, she owns some beauty supply stores in Scranton, and many of our other members are just small business owners that have been in the community for a minimum of 6 to 10 years. And who have a good standing in the community.
Great, thank you. And then I just have one more, and if anyone does have any questions, please just log them in the chat. But how can businesses apply to participate in the Entrepreneurial Center? We're just going to have the 3 businesses, so how could they apply?
Sure, so we have a website, and it's the NEPA Black Chamber, and you can go there, and on the homepage there's a submission button, and we ask that you shoot us an email and also submit your business documents, proof of business, and then once you do that, we'll reach out to you and see how we can bring you on board.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. And thank you all for spending your lunch hour with us. Does anyone else have any questions before we wrap it up today? Okay. And if you do have any questions, you could always email us at the chamber or Rashida. Rashida, how would people contact you personally, just if they have any questions or they want to continue the conversation?
Oh, absolutely. So you can reach me at newwaveenterprise@gmail.com. Also, my website where most people communicate with me is actually newwavestudios.com. I get most of my inquiries from families at that website, and also a plethora of what we do is actually on that website. We have a huge gallery where people can kind of get a feel for what we've accomplished in the community so far. So that's pretty much the best place to reach me. And lastly, on Facebook, you can find me at New Wave Studios on Facebook, or RM Lewis. I'm pretty popular there. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can definitely find me in those places.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you again. That was a wonderful presentation. So excited to get that information out in our community. And we did record this session, and it'll be available on Facebook and our YouTube pages for you to access in the future. And we encourage to our event page to register for our next session and share the information with anyone that could benefit from the content. The Greater Wyoming Valley Chamber of Commerce's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council looks at the Greater Wyoming Valley initiatives, ensures inclusion in chamber programs and policies, and works towards a more equitable future for all the Wyoming Valley. If you'd like to get involved with the council, please visit our website and click on the Get Involved tab. There you could sign up to receive news and communications from the DEI Council, or join the council and assist in planning our programs and events. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day, and see you on Thursday. Or, I'm sorry, on Tuesday.